All right, well, I'm glad to have everyone here that has arrived tonight. We are going to be in the book of Romans, chapter 1, and I'll give a little bit of brief background kind of on the book and why it was written and what the purpose of it was. So, there's a few things. We think this book was written somewhere between 59 and 60 AD. That's where most of the sources when most of the sources think it was written. And you can actually see when Paul probably wrote it was over in Acts chapter 20. If you're reading through the history of Acts, it says, after the uproar ceased, Paul sent for the disciples. After encouraging them, he said farewell and departed for Macedonia. When he had gone through those regions and had given them much encouragement, he came to Greece. There he spent 3 months. It goes on. But that is probably approximately the time when he wrote it, because at the end of the book, we get to, let's see here, in chapter 16 it says, for Macedonia and Achaia have been pleased to make some contribution for the poor among the saints at Jerusalem, for they were pleased to do it, indeed they owe it to them. And this is actually one of the instigating events that leads up to Paul's arrest. So Paul is intending to go to Rome itself. But in the process, he gets arrested, he spends some time in prison, and eventually he is actually shipped to Rome as a prisoner instead of going there freely as he had intended to do. That's sort of a little bit of background about Paul. Paul had been a missionary for quite some time at this point, probably close to 15 to 20 years. So you don't see, like you do some in Corinthians, some in Galatians, you don't see him as much in the beginning of the book of Romans trying to establish his own authority. Like in the beginning of Galatians, do you remember the history that he gives? He tells them exactly who he is. He tells them why they should be listening to him. He essentially establishes himself in their mind as someone who has authority and should be listened to. In Romans, he doesn't do that. And the reason, apparently, that Paul doesn't do that in the book of Romans is because in Romans, by the time he writes this book, he's already well established as an apostle. Hello. He's well established. People know him. He's been going all over the Roman world, setting up new churches, teaching and preaching, doing miracles. People know who Paul is by this time. So he doesn't feel the need in the book of Romans to have this introductory section where he gives the reason why people should listen to him. What instead he does is he starts out, and in the first, I believe it's 11 chapters. Yes. In the first 11 chapters, he gives this sort of broad overview of what Christianity is, and with a specific